CoinShop dealer says silver won't do this. 43% of small businesses miss April rent. I visited my local coin shop yesterday, and my dealer mentioned this to me. Of course, it's on the top of his mind because he has a small business. He did not miss his April rent, by the way. But he told me this statistic, 43% of small businesses missed April rent. I'm going to break this down for you and show you it's twofold. I'm going to show you the two parts we really need to look closely at when we see this. Now, there's many things that push us to the world of silver, to stacking silver, or if you can afford it these days, stacking some gold. One of the main things that pushes us is an understanding that the fiat dollar that our economy is based on is constantly struggling with inflation. It's constantly, over decades, losing its value, whereas precious metals are the opposite. This silver here that I'm showing you on your screen, it does not work that way. This is real money. It's a real precious metal that has real value. So when I heard this statistic, 43% of small businesses missing their April rent, I immediately went to the internet to look up and see what I could find. And check this out. This is from Newsweek, and it says a significant number of small businesses across the nation are struggling to pay rent due to skyrocketing costs. A recent study came out with this by Alignable Fund. It's called Alignable. And I think this is key here. This organization is called Alignable, and they came out with this data. The article says the company's latest small business report, published on last Friday, found that 43% of small business renters in the U.S. were unable to pay their rent in full and on time in the month of April. Such a high delinquency rate hasn't been reported in the U.S. since 2021 at the height of the pandemic. The delinquency rate was also 4 percentage points higher than in March, making it the largest month-over-month surge in over a year. And when we hear this, as this is why my coin shop dealer mentioned this to me, because he knows I'm a silver stacker. He knows what motivates me. And one of the motivating factors that has me swap out my fiat currency into precious metals as often as I can is that I want to hold my wealth in my hand. And I want to feel that I have a safe store of wealth. I want to feel that what I've worked so hard for, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a silver stacker. I'm just a regular guy. I work a full-time job. And the money that I make, I want to be able to know that it's not just being disappearing away in some dream of the stock market. Although I do invest in some stocks. I diversify my investments, but I'm not all in the way I used to be with the stock market. I used to be way more confident in that. Now I have much of my income that I put it into precious metals because I know it's the smart and and the safe thing to do. This article continues and says the state with the highest delinquency rate in the country, I should make you guess. The highest delinquency rate was Texas, with 52% of small business owners unable to pay their rent in full in April. And that was followed by Massachusetts, 47%, California, 46%, Maryland, 42%, and New York and Washington were at about 40%. The lowest delinquency rate actually was Colorado. So this is across our nation where this is shown to be a struggle. And this isn't the only article. Now, the thing that shocked me each article that I found that spoke about this, and again, I told you this information that we need to look at is twofold. The second part that we need to keep in mind is that all of these news organizations are citing this research group called Alignable. It's all coming from one source. And that's frustrating because as silver stackers, one thing that has always drawn me to this community of silver stackers is that we have a critical eye. We like to question everything. And we definitely should be questioning when we hear news being used as like a doom and gloom report, something that's used to heighten our sense of insecurity. And when we hear news like this, we dig deeper and we find out that it's all coming from one source. That, for me, that makes me think like, oh, I don't know if I could fully trust this, right? I mean, we should have more sources. So again, this is Bloomberg, and it says the delinquency rate for small U.S. businesses climbed to a 3-year high this month. They're stating a 3-year high. That's their point. And it says, reflecting the impact of rent spikes and declining revenue, according to a monthly survey by this group, Alignable. They also use the same number. 43% of small businesses were unable to pay rent. So the point that really makes me think and step back is that as I did a little more research, I came upon really the opposite information. And this is from Forbes. And this says, the headline of this article says, 3-year small business boom is unprecedented. And this article, without going deep in the weeds of it, I'll just give you the main idea. This article is saying that really we're at a point where we've had the most small business startups than we ever had. So when looked in that light, well, let me start the article and then I'll tell you. It says, a sure sign of the direction of the economy is the number of small business openings. This says that the past 3 years have seen an unprecedented number of entrepreneurs open up shop in their homes and main streets across America. The article says that the U.S. Census Bureau has been tracking business formation statistics since 2004, and the data recently released shows that nearly 16 million new recorded business applications since the past 4 years have been filed. And it says that approximately 85% of increase in the average flow of monthly applications related to the period between 2004 and this most recent census. So there's a large increase. And when we take that and we look at this number saying 43% of businesses struggling to pay rent, yes, that is alarming, absolutely. And we cannot just toss that away. But when we compare the two data points, seeing that we are at a record high for small businesses, an unprecedented 3-year record high of small businesses opening, it does make sense that there would be a large number of those businesses. Everyone knows, especially one of the points in this data that we also need to remember is that restaurants are one of the greatest numbers in this statistic of 43% of businesses struggling. It's a lot of restaurants. And everyone knows that creating a restaurant is one of the most difficult businesses, and keeping that restaurant open and floating for years is one of the most difficult tasks. Everyone knows that. Now, if we take into account this Forbes data saying that this is a 3-year high for small businesses, including restaurants, sure, then it does make sense. And really, it's not so alarming to see that 43% number. That being said, as a silver stacker, and I see the reason, again, why my bullion dealer mentioned this to me, is because he knows that it does give a sense of uncertainty, and that is what brings people to precious metals. And as anywhere in our economy, wherever there's a disruption like this, that makes people feel insecure, and it makes them put their money into areas like precious metals, like this silver here, or like gold, if gold wasn't so expensive at this moment. But that's what people do. And as these coming weeks and months play out, we certainly will see that this is another factor that brings our silver price up to that $30 point.